Hi guys! Today we're going to look at how to allow the player to shoot and destroy enemies. We'll start with this scene that has a character that responds to player input and several enemies that chase the player if it gets too close. We created this in our 2D top-down shooter series, so take a look if you want to know how it was done. Alternatively, you can download this project by supporting us on Patreon. All the links you need can be found in the description. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is create a bullet. We'll click the plus button on the hierarchy and create an empty game object. We'll call this bullet. For the appearance of the bullet, we'll right-click and select 2D object, sprites, capsule. We'll call this graphics. To make the bullet visible above the background, we need to change the sorting layer to bullet. Now we can see what the bullet looks like. Let's change the sprite colour to yellow. We can see that it's much too large at the moment, so we'll select the parent bullet object in the hierarchy. Then we'll change the scale to 0.04 on the x-axis and 0.1 on the y-axis. Now we've got the graphics for the bullet sorted, we need to handle the behaviour. We want the bullet to move, so we'll add a rigid body 2D component for this. We don't want gravity to apply, so we'll set the gravity scale to 0. Next, we need to add a collider, so that we know when the bullet has collided with the enemies. We'll add a capsule collider 2D component. To get a better view of the collider, we'll switch to the scene view and zoom in on the bullet. We can see that the collider is currently too small. Let's change the size to 1 on the x-axis and 2 on the y-axis. Now the collider fits much better. The final change we need to make to the collider is to tick the Is Trigger checkbox. This is telling Unity that we don't want collisions to actually affect the movement of the bullet. We just want to be notified whenever it collides with anything. To be able to act on these notifications, we'll need a new script. We'll navigate to the Player Scripts folder in the project panel. Then we'll click the plus button and add a new C# script. We'll call this Bullet. To assign this script, we'll drag it onto the bullet in the hierarchy. That's all the components we'll need for the bullet. At the moment, we just have one bullet floating in the scene. When the player presses the fire button, we're going to want to be able to spawn multiple bullets. To be able to do this, we need to convert the bullet into a prefab. We'll navigate to the prefabs folder in the project panel. Then we'll simply drag the bullet from the hierarchy into this folder to create the prefab. We can now create as many bullets as we need from this prefab, so we can safely delete the one we have in the scene. Next, we'll add a new script to create the bullets when the player fires their weapon. We'll navigate to the Player Scripts folder and add a new script. We'll call this Player Shoot. We'll drag this onto the player in the hierarchy to assign it. Before we start editing the new scripts, we need to make some changes to our input actions. We'll navigate to the Input folder in the project panel and double-click the input file. Then we'll find the Fire action. If we expand this, we can see that it's bound to the left mouse button and the right gamepad trigger. We want to add another binding for the spacebar. To do this, we'll click the plus button and select Add Binding. Then we'll click the drop-down in the Path field. In here, we can either search for the spacebar or we can click the Listen button. Now we can just press the spacebar and it will find it for us. For the control scheme, we'll select Keyboard and Mouse. That's all we need to do to bind the action to the spacebar. Before we save this, we need to make another change to the Fire action. By default, the Fire action will only notify us when the button is first pressed. We want the player to be able to hold the fire button down to shoot continuously. For this to work, we need to be notified when the button is pressed and also when it's released. To enable this, we'll select the top level Fire action. Then we'll add a new interaction. We'll select Press. For the trigger behaviour, we'll change it to Press and Release. This will now notify us when the button is pressed or released. That's all the changes we need, so let's click Save and close the window. Next, we'll navigate to the Player Scripts folder and double-click on Player Shoot to open it in the editor. We want this script to be able to spawn multiple bullets, so the first thing we'll do is add a game object field to hold the bullet prefab. We'll make this serializable so it can be set in the inspector. Next, we'll add a serializable float field for the speed of the bullets. We need to know whether the player is holding the fire button down to fire continuously, so we'll add a Boolean field for this. Now we need to set this Boolean based on player input. The input action is called fire, so we'll create a private method named onFire to handle changes to this input. We'll add a parameter of type input value. This requires the Unity Engine Input System namespace to be added at the top. The onFire method will now be called every time the fire button is pressed and released. In here, we'll set the Boolean field to the isPressed value of the input. So when the button is pressed, we'll set continuous firing to true, and when it's released, we'll set it to false. Now we need to make use of this and fire the bullets. Let's delete the start method as we won't be needing it. In the update method, we'll check if we're firing continuously. If we are, we'll call a method to fire a bullet. Now let's create this method. In here, we'll create a new bullet using the instantiate method. We'll tell it to create a new instance of the bullet prefab. For the position, we'll use the position of the player. And for the rotation, we'll use the rotation of the player. So this will create a new bullet at the position of the player facing in the right direction. Next, we need to make the bullet move. To do this, we'll get the rigid body 2D component from the bullet. Then we'll set the velocity to the bullet speed. We'll multiply this by the direction the player is facing, which is the up direction of the player. Let's save the script and switch back to Unity to give it a try. We'll select the player in the hierarchy. Then we'll navigate to the Prefabs folder in the project panel and drag the bullet prefab into the field in the inspector. We'll set the bullet speed to 8 and press play. Now we can fire bullets whenever we press the spacebar, the left mouse button, or the right gamepad trigger. When we release the fire button, the player stops shooting. We've got the basics sorted, but there are some obvious issues. The bullets currently come out in a constant stream. You'll also notice that the bullets don't appear to be firing from the end of the gun. And most importantly, they don't do any damage to the enemies. Let's stop the game to fix this. To have the bullets originate from the barrel of the gun, we need to know the offset from the player position we want to fire from. The easiest way to do this is with a child game object. We'll right-click the player in the hierarchy and add an empty child object. We'll call this gun offset. Now we can position this at the end of the gun. We'll set the X position to 0.04 and the Y position to 0.6. We can see that this is now positioned where we want. We can then use this object in our script to spawn the bullet from this point. Let's switch back to the script to do this. We'll add a new serializable field to hold the transform of the gun offset. Now, in the fire bullet method, we can use the gun offset position instead of the player position. Next, we'll fix the constant stream of bullets by adding a delay between shots. We'll add a serializable float field to store the delay. We'll also add a private field to store the last time a bullet was fired. We'll go to the update method and set this after the bullet has been fired. We'll use time.time to set it to the current game time. Now, before we fire the bullet, we'll calculate the amount of time that has passed since the last bullet was fired. We can do this by subtracting the last fire time from the current game time. We'll check if this time is greater or equal to the desired time between shots. If it is, then enough time has passed and we can fire the bullet. Before we try this out, let's switch back to the bullet script to make the bullets kill the enemies. We won't need the start and update methods, so we'll delete them. Then we'll add the onTriggerEnter2D method. This will be called whenever the collider of the bullet collides with anything. In here, we want to check if we've collided with an enemy. The method has a parameter containing the collider we've collided with. We can check whether this is an enemy by trying to get the enemy movement component from it. If it has an enemy movement component, then it must be an enemy. If that's the case, then we want to remove the enemy and the bullet from the game. We can do this by calling the destroy method. We'll pass in the game object of the collider to destroy the enemy. To destroy the bullet, we'll call the destroy method again, this time passing in the game object of the bullet. Okay, that's everything. Let's save the scripts and switch back to Unity. We'll select the player in the hierarchy. Then we'll drag the gun offset into the field in the inspector. Let's set the time between shots to 0.5 and press play to give it a try. Now the bullets are being fired from the gun and there is a delay between shots. And if we shoot one of the enemies, both the bullet and the enemy are destroyed. One minor issue we have at the moment is that if we press the fire button twice in quick succession, we only fire one bullet. This is because we've pressed fire again before the delay has expired. This could be a bit frustrating, so let's stop the game and switch back to the player shoot script to fix this. We'll add a new Boolean field called fire single. We'll use this to remember whether the fire button has been pressed while we're waiting for the delay to expire. In the onFire method, we'll check if the button is pressed. If it is, we'll set fire single to true. Then in the update method, as well as checking whether we're firing continuously, we'll also check whether we should fire a single bullet. Then, after we've fired the single bullet, we'll set fire single back to false. So now every time we press the fire button, it will set fire single to true. It will remain true until the delay has expired. Then it will fire the bullet before setting fire single back to false. Let's save the script and switch back to Unity to try it out. Now we can press the fire button twice in quick succession and it results in the second bullet being fired after the delay. Okay, that's the basics of shooting covered. There are some performance improvements we'll make in future videos, such as removing bullets once they go off screen and making use of object pooling to reuse bullets. In the next video in this series, we'll make the enemies seem a bit more lifelike by having them wander around the scene. If you want to be alerted when this one's out, then subscribe and click the bell icon. If you have any questions or feedback on this video, then please let us know in the comments. A big thank you to all our patrons, we really appreciate you helping to support the channel. If you'd like to help and also get access to the source code, you can find details in the description. Thanks guys!